Ladies and gents, welcome back. Hey. It's that time again. It's Friday night. It's 6:30 Pacific time. Maybe not where you're at. Definitely in British Columbia at 6:30. And this is the time when I take just some time out of my day to hang out with all of you guys. And this is the live stream. If you're tuning into this later, this is the long form podcast version of the show where I get into a lot of the news stories that I didn't get to, or, well, it could just expand further on some of the ones. And definitely some stories go a little bit longer than the 8 to 10 minutes that I like to put out for videos when I'm putting these videos out on the internet, out there, the ether, for you guys to consume. But I know that the 8 to 10 minute range is kind of where the ballpark where a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll watch that. It seems if you go longer, nuh-uh. And if you go shorter, nuh-uh, for some reason. I'm not sure. But this is the long form podcast for the people that are tuning in to it live. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Coming to hang out with you guys. This is where I give back to the community. Every week, I spend my mornings before going to work doing my best to research stories. I'm listening to the news constantly throughout the day, checking things out, but I compile these in the morning. Jelly Duck, thank you so much for becoming a member for 5 months. Wow, 5 months. Have we been doing this long? Amazing. Thank you so much. This is where I take the opportunity to go over some of the long-term things because I can't get to everything in the morning. In that morning time between 4 or 5 a.m. until 7 when I got to get things going and then you head over to work for 8 o'clock. Unacceptable, Fringe. You always killing me with the generosity. Clyde Beard brings all the boys to the yard and it's like, it's better than yours. Just popping in. Try to hop into Discord later. Have a good stream, buddy. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that generous, ultra generous super chat. That, of course, is Derek Smith, the author of How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. I have a signed copy. I actually have a signed copy, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what you're making moving forward. I heard some new stuff in the works, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm really definitely looking forward to that. But where was I? Got sidetracked there. Anyway, yeah, I spent all my wee hours in the morning putting videos together, and then here we go. And after the stream, as always, I saw, is it Rumble that I go hang out and have wobbly pops? No, it's Discord that I go over and have wobbly pops. It's not recorded. It's a whole community event that we all get together every Friday after the live stream. And everybody can chime in and talk, or you could just lurk if you want to, but just hang out and come chill in the Discord and have some wobbly pops and hang out. It's a good time. So link, as always, in the description down below. Excuse me. I already had a wobbly pop tonight. Link is always in the description down below. Check that out. It's the Discord link. If you're not already a Discord user, it's a really cool platform. I think you'll enjoy it. Anyway, we listened to Clyde play piano. Yeah, that happened last week. That definitely did happen. Drafting and listening to Clyde, still working. Awesome. Some people are still working out there. Yeah, it's a different time of day for everybody when I do these live streams. Of course, Paul Thompson. I recognize that name. Ultra Mega Diagolon. Oh, man, some of the memes this week. Some of the memes insane. Yeah, beer. Yeah, that's code for beer. Wobbly pops. I got my wobbly pop cooling in the fridge for Discord. Awesome. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see you over there. Truck Man of Fire. Awesome. And I've got my soda water for the stream. Man, do you get thirsty when you talk for a good 2 hours? It happens. But it comes with the territory when you just get your cake hole flapping. It definitely happens. Cool. Show us the memes. Well, I want to get into some of this stuff. Why don't I get into what happened this week? This week, I finally had the chance to meet up with Tyson Hockley. And Tyson Hockley is a young YouTuber, young, aspiring journalist who's gone out and taken footage of events that have happened around his local community as things have been going on. One of his videos went viral when it was Justin Trudeau was coming out of a building, and he had like this unannounced event happening, but people still found out about it anyway. And people got out there and were shouting at him, protesting against, well, just everything that he stands for, essentially, in this country. And yeah, it doesn't matter where he goes. He's accosted wherever he goes. And this was one of the first events where he was going unannounced, and Tyson actually made it out there. Anyway, that's how I got to know who he was, because I used his footage. And then he asked me nicely, could you give me credit for that? And I, of course, obliged to that. Fast forward to last night, he invited me onto his show to have a chat. Here's his YouTube channel. I'll try to put a link in it in the description down below for this channel. Why don't I just pop that right in the chat here for all you guys watching as well. So that's his channel. Definitely go check it out. I had a chat with him last night. He does some different coverage. It's you almost forget that you're talking to a 14-year-old man, right? At the time, it was really, really cool to hear from him and his opinions on things. And yeah, it was definitely a pleasure. Definitely go check that out. But speaking of young people, Joe Biden's in the news. Holy cow. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Joe Biden in the news because of his speech from yesterday. And not gonna lie, holy what? So immediately, pedo Hitler started trending. I had to say that with a laugh because I hope nothing picks that up. That was what was trending on Twitter last night, as the imagery started coming out about this not young, right? Nobody likes him young, apparently. So that was trending on Twitter along with this imagery, and the imagery is just awful. I mean, like, it looks like something that McCarthy was fighting to stave off. No joke. And I thought it was funny, and we all had a laugh. It just so happened a bunch of us were hanging out in the Discord when this started trending, and we were all having a laugh at some of the memes that were going around about it. But then I actually listened to the speech, and I was pretty shocked by it. And I wrote this on the communities tab here on YouTube with this photograph. I said the memes of the visual and the memes of the visuals of Biden's speech yesterday are off the charts funny. But when I listened to his speech, that has got to be the most aggressive, divisive rally cry to demonize more than half the domestic population I have ever heard. In other words, the visuals did match the rhetoric, in my opinion. Scary times. Very, very scary times indeed. And it was just, I mean, I don't even know what to say to this. So from someone who was elected to unite the country, bring all these people together, and if anyone's saying like, Clyde, you do Canadian news, why are you talking about this? This is world politics right here. This is pretty insane. But this guy was elected. At least YouTube will make sure that I say that was what happened. Most popular president in American history. Most people voted for him ever voting in votey history ever. But so just for algorithm's sakes, he won the election, but he was supposed to be the one to unite everybody. Let's reel all the bad rhetoric back. Let's pull it all back, and we're gonna reunite the country because Orange Man bad, and this guy good, apparently, and only in his geriatric years, when he's not, going against Clarence Thomas alongside of some really bad Democrats of that era. Jim Crow. Jeez. Anyway, so this is what this guy had to say about this. And it blows my mind.
We must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Just to cut in here for a second, he's talking about more than half of the population. I mean, just under half. Sorry, I got something in my throat there. He's talking about more than 50% of the population. He's talking about a very, very large number of individuals that he's calling out here, and it just happens to be the opposition party. You want to talk about democracy? You're calling out the opposition party, the only opposition party in your country. Yeah, this doesn't even look like Biden. No, all the plastic surgery has made him look like something else. He looks like a jack-o'-lantern of a human being.
Now, I want to be very clear up front.
How do you know someone's lying to you? They start the sentence with, "I want to be clear." Oh, why do people say that? Let me be clear. Oh, okay, so you're gonna lie to me. All right, thanks for the heads up.
Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans.
So they're the establishment? So this was a question that came up. Somebody who doesn't know politics, U.S. politics, was asking me, he's like, is there going to be like a third party thing going on? And I said, you know what? You gotta pull back for a second and look at it this way. You've people, you know, there's the Democrats and the Republicans in the United States, but there's the establishment, and the establishment has infiltrated both parties. If you look at it, I mean, people like Jimmy Dore will call it the uniparty, the monoparty, the money party. But it's the establishment. You get George Bush, who gets into office, and he wants to be policeman of the world, go have wars with everybody. And then the anti-war left is like, oh, no wars. Ah. And then Obama gets in, and then it's like, oh, we could go home, guys. It's a Democrat. And then he's like just as bad or worse when it comes to that stuff. So there is the mono party, and that's the establishment, and it's infiltrated both the Democrats and the Republicans. But then you have like people who want to be classical Republicans who call those people rhinos. And that's an acronym for Republican in name only. And now what's being realized on the left is that there's a whole swath of people that are progressives. And I don't agree with progressives on a lot of the stance that they have. But I gotta give them this. They're catching on to this monoparty system, this establishment system, where you have this establishment group that runs both parties, and they're catching on because the Democrats have had power in everywhere. They've had power everywhere for the past few years. They've had the presidency, the Senate, the House. And are they going along with what the people that voted for them are doing? Nuh-uh. And they're figuring it out. John Charest is a Chino. Conservative in name only. Nice. I like that. But and I agree with that, absolutely. But yeah, there's the establishment. We see that here in Canada as well, i.e. Jean Charest, who can bounce back and forth from liberal to conservative. He's part of the establishment. And I do sympathize with people who have left of center views. I don't agree with all of them, but I definitely sympathize with those people because their political platform's been taken from them as well. So like the Jimmy Dores of the world have figured it out. Oh my goodness, they're not working for us. Oh my God, we've been lobbying for them for decades. And then when they get in power, they don't do any of the stuff that they said they were going to do. And all the people on the right are figuring that out too. So you've got the You got the progressives, and then you've got the Trump crowd, which I'd just say are traditional conservatives or traditional Republicans, even not even conservative, even in all of them in that sense. And a lot of people voted for Trump that weren't even right of center. A lot of them left of center because Joe Biden and his party were like out to lunch completely. Just look at Tim Pool and these guys. Anyway. So at the end of the day, you have the populace fighting against the establishment. And that's really where we are. And here's the establishment fighting back through clever puppetry on a rickety old meat suit we call Joe Biden.
Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans.
Right, like Lindsey Graham and and those guys that want to push for more wars in Europe. Yeah, you've been able to work with those guys. They say pretty words every once in a while. You got Dan Crenshaw, who seemed like a pretty nice guy until throwing everybody under the rug in order to get more wars going. Yeah. No, people aren't, it's not a popular idea. People are sick of wars. People are sick of this guy. And that's absolutely the case. So again, yeah, you've worked with them because you're on the same team. You're on the same team. You're in there with Nancy Pelosi making a killing. Absolutely. Yeah, Dan Crenshaw. What are they calling him now? They're calling him Patches. What was it? Patches McCain, I think is what they were calling him, because he's just like John McCain. Oh, came out looking strong, but nuh-uh, no good. Just establishment crony. Anyway, keep going with this.
But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
MAGA Republicans. So just not establishment. That's really what that means. Eye Patch McCain, yeah. There you go. I thought it was Patches McCain, but yeah, Eye Patch McCain. That's it.
And that is a
One-Eyed Willie. I like that. Good Goonies reference.
Threat to this country. These are hard things, but I'm an American president. Not a president of red America or blue America.
Well, he looks like a very red America behind you, man. You look like you're at the podium of the Kremlin right now. I don't know what the imagery was all about, what they were going for on this one, but holy cow. Go get him, Corn Pop. I like that. He has a bot fly in his brain. I don't doubt that. I think he mixed up BLM and MAGA. Anyway, so he went on a tirade, and it was a really, really long tirade, actually, indeed, going on about the Republicans. Now, the thing is, the only reason why he's going full attack mode on the Republicans at this point is because it looks like they're going to win the midterm elections. That seems to be the case. It's looking like a shoe-in for whoever runs against that guy. Anyone who runs against Brando is gonna win. Yeah, in Lightning, I had to put a 3 and a 1 in there because I knew that the algorithm would pick that up. I had to. Sorry, just had to throw that in there. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes on CensorTube. But we tie in with this. But yeah. So what has what's the track record of the Biden administration and the Democrats as of late? So this tweet from Fight Communism, I like a handle like that, says asking for unity while calling for 70+ million people, or calling them extremists and enemies of democracy, calling out political violence when your party 2 years ago was saying this. And what were they saying? Well, they were saying there needs to be unrest in the streets while the streets were burning. I remember this. I don't know if you recall. I think put a comment in the chat there if you recall that. Protesters should not let up as the streets were burning. That was, by the way, Kamala Harris, the prime minister, the deputy, the vice president of the United States of America, as installed. I mean, as voted, elected on in the most recent election. If you see anybody from the cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere. Wow. Okay, that's some rhetoric. Who's this? Nancy, what stocks are in today, Nancy? What are the good bets? I'm betting on Nancy Pelosi in the stock market, by the way. I just don't know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. Interesting. Sam Hyde 2024. I'd vote Sam Hyde. Evening, Clyde. Jimothy Prime. That is a name I haven't heard in ages. Welcome to the chat. Welcome, man. Good to see ya. But yeah, we're talking about your president, Mr. Jimothy Prime. Goodness gracious. Yeah, mostly peaceful by CNN with fire in the background. I like that clip. The mostly peaceful protest. Fiery but peaceful. Unbelievable. But yeah, this is what we have going on south of us at the moment. I really liked this meme. This one got me going. Mr. Joe Lyman in the Discord posted this one. Kramer, what's going on in there? It's Biden with his red lights. Deep state meltdown, Jerry. Deep state meltdown. Here we go. What else did we have? This was from Invincible in our Discord server. She made this one up. She had Kathy Griffin in behind him there. Wow, just doing her piece. It's a little political theater. Like you want to see some real political theater. There it is. Nice. Anyway, so yeah, that's what was happening there. Now, of course, the first thing he does is he throws out all these accusations of what all the people are doing. And anyone who's been paying attention for the past 4 years or so, you don't even have to go that far back, 2 years. Angry Atheist asking a pretty good question here. Clyde, serious question. When was the last time a peaceful protest changed anything? India. I would definitely go with India as a great example of that. Gandhi led the people away from British occupation in India using nothing but peaceful protest. And had they gone another way, I don't think it would have gone well for them. It would have been too easy for the world to get behind the support of the British at the time to just squash that. So peaceful protest was definitely, India was so different. Okay. Soviet Union. There was no violent thing that tore the Soviet Union down. It was just indifference. It was peaceful mockery and indifference to the Soviet Union as they went bankrupt. MLK, great example. So yeah, there's been cases. I know I posted a meme earlier this week, and the top comment was, yeah, like peaceful protest has ever gotten anywhere. And I disagree with that. I think Gandhi actually had to do hunger strike to stop the violence during the revolution, with certain groups unwilling to cooperate. He almost died of starvation. That is true. But I think the biggest moments that changed history were different times where they did have peaceful protests. Yes, there was violent uprisings, but I think the peaceful protests are what won the morale over for most people and helped bring about people actually standing up against the British occupation at the time. So I'm gonna argue with that. There's a really good reenactment from the movie The Life of Gandhi, where they go down. They were barred from selling salt in the marketplace and making their own salt and selling it buying and trading. Everything was under regulation, and the men went and made it anyway, and they just peacefully did it. The troops came and beat the heck out of them, but they lost all moral support from anyone else after that. But let's get back into this. So it's not a new tactic to take what you're doing and accuse the other side of exactly what it is that you're doing. Rosa Parks, another great example of peaceful protest. Fantastic. Yeah, that was definitely another example, right? It was in Detroit, was it not? Absolutely. So someone was salted. Yeah, they got salty. They got salty, of course. But here we go. The idea of blaming the other for doing exactly what it is that you're doing yourself and then labeling them on top of that. Where did that concept come from? Well, let's have a look. This is a great video that explains just that.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind." In 1940,
and that's just like Goebbels said, if you repeat a lot, or was it Goebbels? Goebbels, no, it wasn't Goebbels that said that. I think it was Lenin that said that if you repeat a lie enough times, it becomes truth in the people that hear it. And absolutely correct. So this goes back, way back. These are not new tactics, and we can fight them. I don't respect these tactics, of course, but they are tactics nonetheless. And well, we have to know how to fight against these things. Hey, it's Trudeau's playbook. It's the lefty playbook. That's absolutely the way it goes. Blame everybody and then label them fascists or some unsavory thing. It was Joseph Goebbels, one on The Big Lie. Oh, was it Goebbels? Okay. I thought it was also, or maybe I'm confusing different quotes. I know that Lenin said a similar quote. I don't know if it was exactly that, but it was something very similar. Yeah, it was Joseph Goebbels. Fair enough. So many people are still blind. Well, you just got to keep pointing it out. Just got to keep on pointing it out. My favorite is to teach them the wonders of the market economy, especially when they like to say the word capitalism. Allow them to realize what they're actually saying is a talking point from communists. Switch the language. Don't use the word capitalism when people insist on using that word. Say that you support the market economy, and when you define the market economy, define it exactly as it is. Well, I like the idea of private property and people being able to sell and buy private property as they see fit on a voluntary basis, and that is the market economy. Karl Marx had a much different, skewed version of that. But hey, what does Karl Marx's work lead to? Well, it leads to, fun new taxes for all the people out there. Now, this is one of those ones where it leads to a lot of people going, yeah, stick it to the man, and they think that they're doing good. They think that they're doing something, but all they're doing is celebrating property confiscation. That's all they're doing. And this is the Conservative Party tweeting out, brace yourself for another liberal tax. This is the new tax that will result in lost jobs, foregone economic opportunity, and a reduction in capital investment at a time when we can least afford it. Honestly, that is what this is. The Liberals' newest tax comes into effect tomorrow and will result in over $2.8 billion in lost sales over the next 5 years, according to the PBO. Now, this is from a few days ago. This tax came into place yesterday. Mark's Work World sees the means, sees the genes. Mark's Work Warehouse. Oh, I like it. I like it. Somebody needs to make that a business, a real legit business. PBO, I'll have to look up what that actual acronym is. I don't know, but I think it's in this one here. So this is from CBC News, and this is from your woke news source, right, from the government, teat. But even they are a little bit skeptical on how this will do us any good. Critics warn Ottawa's new luxury tax on pricey cars, planes, and boats could backfire. Now, this is a luxury tax that's supposed to be for big, bad luxury items like those ultra rich people that buy yachts all the time, because that's what rich people do. They're like, hey, I'm just going to buy lots of yachts. Yahtzee. I'm buying yachts every day. I'm buying 100,000 cars every 2 minutes. And we just got to get that ad revenue from that in there. Parliamentary budget officer. There you go. That was explained right there. Awesome. As of Thursday, luxury cars and personal aircraft with sale prices over $100,000 in boats for personal use with price tags more than $250,000 will be slapped with an 10 to 20% tax. That is what's going on here. Now, what is that going to lead to? Well, unintended consequences. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. It's luxury tax on 800K electric vehicles. Yeah, no. Apparently, as long as it's not a Tesla, you'll get a rebate. No, I think you still get a rebate if it is a Tesla. But 80,000 electric vehicle? I mean, if you got yourself into a Tesla, do you think you're walking out of that dealership under 100K? Try buying a pickup truck that's like actual, like loaded in any capacity. That's under 100K these days. $100,000 is not a lot of money. Like, I know it sounds like a lot of money, but it is not a lot of money. Like, capital costs a lot of money these days to buy. And this is where it's going to hurt businesses. And yeah, of course, there is exemptions from this tax. I'm going to say farm equipment and things like that are going to be exempt from this. I don't know if trucks are going to be exempt from that. Are trucks going to be a luxury to buy? This is where we get into trouble when you just willy-nilly go out and say, hey, what? You know, it would be great. I always want to slap a person when they say, there ought to be a law. If no, there's enough laws out there. There are just, no, that's not right. It's a lot of money. 100K just doesn't go far these days. No, you're absolutely right. 100K is a lot of money, but when you're talking about business, it isn't a lot of money. So what happens if you're a charter fishing company and you need a new boat? You gonna buy a boat for 80 grand? Good luck. Good luck finding a boat for under 100K. Now, the rule here is after $100,000, it now gets a 10% tax on top of what it already cost for taxes and all that stuff. Those guys with Chrystia Freeland look so damn unhappy. I gotta see this now. Oh, yeah. She got that twitch. I don't know. She just has that twitch all the time. It's got to be so hard being such a small vessel with all those demons in there just to hold them in, you know? It's probably unpleasant for these NPCs next to her. But where was I? Yeah, try to find a boat for under 100K that you can carry enough people on to do charter fishing, that kind of thing. You're not gonna get there. So businesses ask, why not RVs too? Why not RVs too? Mike Delaney as director of sales and marketing at Vernon, BC company that manufactures boats worth up to $500,000. He says the tax will undermine the boom in boat sales that began when people were stuck at home during COVID-19 lockdowns. Delaney said the tax is coming at a time when inflation is driving up the cost of parts for boats. He warned that the measure will harm tourism business and could make purchasers, many of whom are business owners themselves, think twice about buying. The road to hell is paved in great intentions. That is the old expression. And it's all these it's all of these unexpected consequences of these actions that come up. I just when I was close to my $500,000 boat, they took my job away for not getting jabbed, and they blew up the taxes. Too funny. Now this is actually a boat. It's an acronym. Break out another 1,000. Well, you're gonna have to break out more than another 1,000 these days for this. Now, this is my take on this. You know, like a lot of people support this idea of let's go after the filthy rich. And it's like, well, at what point are you part of the rich? And a lot of times when they pull out these statistics of who's ultra rich, they conflate earnings with wealth. And people's wealth is tied up in capital. You don't have, you can't just liquidate all of your assets to go pay a tax. And that's what happens with the inheritance tax. And this is why farmers lose generations land, because they get strapped with this tax when a loved one dies and has ownership of it. And then they have to pay this inheritance tax on property that's just being handed down from one family member to the next. And yeah, it's not sticking it to the man. It's not sticking it to the rich guy who's just going to get out of it anyway. He's just not going to buy a yacht in Canada. Like, that's really the gist of it. He's not going to buy a yacht in Canada. He's not going to buy his Ferrari in Vancouver. He's going to buy it in Vancouver, Washington. You know what I mean? He'll register it there and drive it up to Vancouver if he wants to drive it there. Like, that's the gist of it here. The unintended consequences is that you're going to harm industry. You're going to harm people's livelihoods and their businesses, all in the auspices of sticking it to the man. You got to pay your fair share. You got to get, you know, it's just, it's absurdity. It's Bernie bro logic, essentially. And that's what's happening here. So a tax loaded approach, economist Don Drummond, former federal assistant deputy minister of fiscal policy and former chief economist for TD Bank, said the tax could spawn cottage industries around people trying to circumvent it. whatever you define as a threshold for a boat, whatever luxury good it is, somebody will do something to get around it, Drummond said. That's a waste of the consumer's time and a waste of the tax officials' time. The luxury tax will be a tough sell, he said, because unlike a tobacco tax, it's not aimed at improving health outcomes. There are already mechanisms to tax the wealthy, Drummond added. Yeah, like a progressive tax rate. It's just unbelievable. I remember growing up in Motor City, and I remember guys doing lots of overtime at the factories, and people saying, "Oh no, I can't go back to work this week because I'll get into a new tax bracket and the government will take all of my paycheck. I'll make more money if I work less." If that makes sense, because they'll just take it all anyway, and that's just a horrible thing. So anyway, I think I've drummed on long enough about this. Oh, there's one last thing. There's Dan Albus, MP, conservative MP, says later this week Trudeau's luxury boat tax kicks in. The PBO warned of the government stands to collect less revenue with the luxury tax in place than it does today without it. With boat builders like Champion and Kelowna now closed, the PBO was right. It hurts workers, not the wealthy. So he's not saying that this tax put this business out of business. They went out of business for other reasons, but it will put businesses out of business like this business. This is what they dealt in when this tax goes forward, which it did on Thursday. Now, what he's saying here is the government stands to collect less revenue with the luxury tax in place because the economic activity that is not going to take place, the work that people are going to do, the companies exchanging things, GST and all these other taxes being collected, incomes taxes being collected, it ends up being a net loss in revenue because you're trying to tax these few people. And it's absurd. It's absurd. And that's my stance on that. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Lots of people, new people jumping in the chat just now saying hello. Clyde, seen that happen many times firsthand. Also peep the pic of Freeland's grandmammy. What? Freeland's grandmammy? What's the picture of that? I don't know. I'm kind of curious now. I'm gonna have to look this up. Freeland's grandmother. I know Freeland's grandfather, he had some shady practices. Discord General, I posted it. Okay. You're kidding me. You're not serious. What? Is that real? No. No. Okay, everyone's curious. Everyone's curious. Not a joke, my friend. Yeah. Freeland's grandmother. Wow. This is Chrystia Freeland's grandmother. Tanding. What was tanding with with the clankety clank funny mustache man and Joseph Goebbels, chief propagandist for the Nazi Party. Isn't she a spitting image? Her grandfather was chief editor for wow. When did this get out? Is this new info that people just didn't know about? I did not know about this. I knew about her grandfather. That is just crazy. Wow, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? Holy. I just knew that Hitler fella looks like he's going places. Oh boy. Yeah. You know, people are gonna look back at our prime minister in the same light that they're looking at this guy. Mark my words on that one. Holy, I had no idea. That is some news to me. Yikes. Absolutely mind-blowing. But yeah, there you go. Chrystia Freeland. Why is it that so many people with such close ties with that clankety clank mustache man are in power today? What is it? Jürgen Schwab, the Grand Q-Tip's daddy. He was a pretty high up guy in the SS, and he was a business owner, an industrialist who had factories making all kinds of things, including flamethrowers, which were used against Allied forces, and that is a fact. That is a fact. Why are so many of those people that are related to the people that were bad guys in WW2 currently in power? That is a question for the ages, is it not? Wow. Wow. I'm just impressed. Anyway, moving on. So the health minister, Mr. Duclos, feds to implement national booster vaccine campaign next week. Hey, didn't we see that coming? Did we not see that coming? Not see that coming. Careful that the transcript doesn't read that the wrong way. Feds implement national booster vaccine campaign next week. It's coming down the pipe. The federal government will implement a national campaign next week encouraging Canadians to receive booster doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, says Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos. It's like a phone battery. It just this bit right here just got me so got me laughing so hard. It's like a phone battery. You recharge your phone battery by plugging it into electricity. You recharge your vaccination by plugging into the government. No, by plugging protecting your vaccination protection by taking action and getting a booster. Duclos says the initiative, dubbed Protection Wanes, action is required. Required. Don't forget these words. Action required. This on the heels of what they told us. They told us exactly that the mandates were being suspended, and they have been suspended over the summer months as Canadians were definitely not having it because people were tired of 2 years of pandemic, and all of a sudden the Arrive Can started really inhibiting that, and the mandates that they did not want to lift under political pressure from industry after industry, they suspended the mandates. So they're still instated. Yeah, plug in. I like that. The plug and the jab. Oh, that's great. You got to get gotta get all those NPCs using that in their bio. Oh, goodness. Someone needs to plug him into 220 for a bit. Goodness. Oh, we should start a show called Freeland's Family Values Hour. And Toronto votes for Freeland. Go figure, right? Yikes. We should shame her district. Get over there and shame the district by saying, yeah, guess what? Family values, right? Family values. Duclos made his announcement on September 1st during an update on Health Canada's approval of a new COVID vaccine from Moderna that takes both the original strain and the novel coronavirus and the specific Omicron variant called bivalent vaccines. Duclos said the booster campaign will be a big team effort. Yep. This is obviously a national campaign, he says. Yeah, you got to campaign because, the only thing that people, when it's necessary, you have to campaign for it. When people feel that it's important, you have to campaign for it. I think that's backwards, but nonetheless, I got a big dice with the peace sign and the beers. Yeah. Clyde, evil mechanical eyes. That's right. I got those mechanical eyes. Oh, cool kids collect spike protein. Oh, God. You guys. Oh, I love it. Well, it's going to fail. Absolutely. We know that provinces and territories will continue to increase their efforts at reaching people. Just reach out and poke ya. Speaking in terms that inform and sometimes reassure them. Why would they need reassuring? I'm sorry, but is there something that they would need reassuring for? I don't know. Maybe UK bans vax boosters for pregnant mothers. That's a thing. UK prohibited the vaccine boosters for pregnant mothers in a recent thing. This is from the Counter Signal. According to a UK government summary of the report, there continues to be an absence of reproductive toxicity data due to the speed of development of the vaccine. As a result, they ultimately include that the safe use of the vaccine in pregnant and breastfeeding women cannot be provided at this time. I'm not making these claims. This is the UK government that are making these claims for anyone who's watching this. The vaccines are safe and effective as per what I'm required to say to maintain what's going on here. I don't think I really need to go much further into the story. I think everyone kind of gets the gist of it, and I don't get banned off of YouTube for suggesting it. Anyway, January study by Statistics Canada found that about a half of Canadians, 56%, were hesitant to get a third vaccine dose, citing concerns over long-term side effects, which, by all accounts and measures, I don't know anything about, and I'm not going to say anything on my YouTube channel about. In a June, these are the things you got to say. In a June press conference, Duclos had mentioned transitioning from the definition of fully vaccinated to being up to date with COVID-19 shots, saying 2 shots don't provide enough protection. Chief Public Health Officer Teresa Tam, oh, she's still around, oh goodness, said today at today's press conference that eligible Canadians should get a booster if it's been longer than 6 months since their last dose. Now, the thing for up to date is going to be you have to have had it within 9 months or you're not going to be up to date. Why does that matter? Why does that matter if there's no mandates? Why would that matter? That's because there is mandates. They're suspended at the moment. Again, getting back to that. Shipments of the newly improved nobody cares. Where was the bit? Shipments of the vaccine in the next few days. Not enough supply for all Canadians. Or there will be enough supply for all Canadians 18 and older to get a dose this fall, winter. Health officials said. Now, do you think that many people are going to get that? With the former making up the Omicron BA2 most prevalent in Canada right now, with the former making up 82% of COVID cases and the latter accounting around 12% according to government statistics. Did they talk about how many people? No, they didn't. Essentially, where we're at is there's 80%, above 80% of people in Canada got the first 2 shots. And people got the third shot, I think was like around 30%. And then it's like down to like 12% who got the 4th shot. So there's a waning popularity in this big moneymaker, I mean lifesaver, that's been encouraged by government officials to go and get. But yeah, the numbers are waning. The popularity of getting it is waning. And that seems to be the case at this point. But yikes. But that's where we are. That's where we are today with that. But they're still going to keep going with the ArriveCan app. At the moment, even though the pressure is gaining more and more and more every day to have that spyware, I don't even know what else you can call it, eliminated from the border. People are refusing it all the time. So keep that pressure on, folks. Keep fighting the good fight. That's 12%. Isn't that Trudeau's popularity? Wow, doesn't that coincide? I think it's down to 7. I think it's down to 7. So there's people who don't like him, but still got duped into it. Some people, yeah. Just trying to catch up with the chat here. Anyway, moving on. I got my teeth booster award plaque already. My 10th booster award plaque already. 7% now. Yeah, no, I think it's way low. There was a poll where it like went all the way down to 7%. It was ridiculous. I think it was 7% of people who strongly agree with the Prime Minister and where he's taking Canada. So no more ArriveCan. Yeah, scrap the app. That's what we're going for. Yeah, it is too funny. Is it funny or is it tragic? I mean, yeah, that's if it's a tragic comedy, call it Canada. That's where we are today, ladies and gents. Crazy. But yeah, here we are with the COVID being such an unpopular thing, nobody cares about it anymore. People on the street, anyone who's still masking up, most people just think they're a crazy person. Why are you still doing this? Maybe you got Stockholm syndrome or something like that. People are definitely messed up by what happened over the past 2 years of the pandemic and the propaganda and all of the stuff that was shoved down everyone's throat. And some people got the jab, but a lot of people like me said, I got it, but I ain't swallowing your pill. End of story. Now, with that being said, they need to move on to the next big scare. What is the next big thing that's coming along? Well, it's the environment, and people are environmental these days, absolutely. And it doesn't end just with activists. This is now where our government is, and we have our environmental patient, Minister of the Science and Climate Change, and also Canada's Charles Manson lookalike runner-up, Stephen Guilbeault, caught lying about testing on the Sask farmlands. Now, I went to go read this article, and this is what's really fun. Aw, womp womp. You want me to pay to read your article, and then it kicks you out, and you can't view it. So they broke this story. It's going to be a matter of minutes before other people start reporting on it. But apparently he said something, and he got caught in the lie. And what he was saying is that essentially he says that he did not, they were not testing waters. They were not testing waters in Saskatchewan. Now, we have the Countersignal reporting on this. Denial, climate change minister on defense of over trespass scandal. And that's really what this is about. So the short and skinny on this one is that the federal government is trying to move in on farmlands through the prairies and enforce and put into place basically what they've been doing to the Netherlands, what's happening in Belgium right now, what they've been enforcing on Irish farmers, I believe, is now occurring. They have these climate protocols where they're going to be enforcing limitations on fertilizers that farmers can use. We all see this as a way of reducing the yields that the farmers can put out, and farmers run at extraordinarily thin margins as it is. So what would reducing their ability to make food do? Well, it would bankrupt them. And this is what the Belgian farmers pointed out first and foremost that they're doing. And it looks like our Canadian government is following suit and trying exactly the same thing. Land expropriation, exactly. It's just a roundabout way of doing the same thing as just walking in and saying, with guns drawn, give us your land. They're just doing it in a roundabout way, and this is what the government's doing. Now, Trudeau's climate change minister, Stephen Guilbeault, is on the defense, finally responding to Saskatchewan Minister Jeremy Cockrell's warning that the federal governments could be arrested for trespassing on private land to take samples. Now, what were they doing taking samples? They were driving onto people's land. They were going into the ditches, and they were taking water samples in clearly marked Government of Canada, climate change, climate hysteria marked vans, and they were taking water samples. Now, they were approached a few times on what they were doing on people's land and why they were taking samples, and they were told that they were taking samples for pesticides and nitrogen, obviously fertilizers. So I believe that we and Canadians are best served when we engage on the facts, not heated and misinformed rhetoric, writes climate change minister Guilbeault in a signed letter to Cockrell. On August 11th, Environment and Climate Change Canada water scientists were taking samples alongside a highway in Pence, Saskatchewan on behalf of Health Canada. A landowner approached the scientists to inform them that they were in fact on private land. As previously reported by the Countersignal, not one but several landowners, according to Minister Cockrell, have contacted Saskatchewan government to raise serious concerns about Government of Canada employees in clearly marked Government of Canada vehicles trespassing on private lands. Now, if you think, well, whatever, who cares? This is what government does. They do not have jurisdiction here. This is a provincial matter. It is not a federal matter. So they have to, and they signed agreements with the provincial government that they would go through the Ministry of Water Resources and Water Conservation. So this is what they're doing. They're stepping over the boundaries and what they're allowed to do. Clyde, our rulers are going back to work in a couple of weeks. We need to apply heavy pressure to juggernuggets, complicity, and Senate recall C11. Absolutely. Keep that pressure on. They're trying to pass all kinds of stuff. In the next few years before the next federal election, they're going to try to ram as much stuff through. Be on the lookout. This is what's going to happen. And they're going to try to pass so much stuff that they'll be able to win the next election, because guys like myself and all your favorite news aggregators online won't be able to tell you what's going on and who's even running for office if they had their way. This is, crazy. As per the farmers, they were told by federal climate agents that they were testing water for sources for pesticide nitrate levels on farms in the Pence, Moosebank, and Pilot Butte areas of the province. And the theory here is that they're going to try to make a sample that'll give them a baseline for testing later, and then in making impositions on them to say, you're only allowed to buy this much fertilizer, Mr. Farmer Man. This is the stupid ideology of these rich elites. They have no idea. Justin Trudeau spends, we've just learned, over $7,800 a month on the taxpayer dime for groceries in his house. Canadians can't do this. They have finite balances. They have finite amounts of money to spend on their groceries. And every month people are, because of inflation, are having to get, skimpier and skimpier cuts of meat, or instead of steak, we're eating ground beef. This is the reality of life in Canada right now. And we have 50 kids. What? Oh, he has 50 kids? No, he doesn't have 50 kids. He has personal chefs, and I don't even understand why Canadians are paying the grocery bill for the Prime Minister. He has no rent. He doesn't have to pay groceries. Why has he even got a salary? I mean, at this point, he wouldn't even need to embezzle billions of dollars from the Canadian people. Oh, but he still will. Anyway, allegedly. But that's money laundering. Oh, those are some pricey crickets. They're not eating crickets, and they never will. It's rules for thee, not for me. You know what I mean? That's always this Plato's cave, right? Ugh. Anyway, getting on with this. While Guilbeault does not deny that it was possible that Government of Canada employees may have trespassed on farms in Pence, Guilbeault contradicts Cockrell's report of the farmer's account, outright denying that the agents weren't there to test nitrate levels. You brought this matter to my attention in your very public and very frank letter of August 21. Well, answer your dang phone. Answer your phone. Answer emails. You think the guy went straight for public letter? I doubt it. I really, really doubt it. But that's, yeah. I also took note of your comments openly speculating about the work of these scientists. Please allow me to be equally frank and public in my response. Departmental officials are not testing water for nitrates or nutrients related to farm runoff, and their study is not related to non-regulated voluntary goals of the government of Canada in an effort to reduce emissions from agricultural fertilizers. Now, why would his own people say that that's what it was for? Dunno. But maybe he's lying. Guilbeault continues calling reports from outlets like the Countersignal on Trudeau's prospective nitrogen reduction policy that will see nitrogen capped at 30% below 2020 levels by 2030 misinformation. Okay. The claims made by the media about this incident compound the recent misinformation regarding the voluntary nature of the fertilizer emission reduction goals, mischaracterizing work that is voluntary, unregulated, and being done in partnership with Canadian farmers to reduce emissions, not fertilizer use, Guilbeault writes. So why would farmers who are in on this little joke of a voluntary basis thing, why would they be so up in arms? Well, probably because Guilbeault is the one with the misinformation. To be clear, the Countersignal has never stated Trudeau's goal of reducing nitrous oxide emissions from fertilizers has passed the House or Senate and become law of the land. We have, however, brought to attention the perspective of policy and what it will mean for farmers and Canadians at large if it were to pass. And this reporting is backed up by the Fertilizer Canada, which has stated that the attempts to reduce fertilizer emissions will result in less fertilizer use and lower crop yields consequently. It doesn't matter what the government's stated intent of the emissions reduction is, that's the inevitable result. As per a report from Fertilizer Canada, total emissions reductions put a cap on the total emissions allowable from fertilizer to at 30% below 2020 levels, as yield of Canadian crops is directly linked to proper fertilizer application. This creates a ceiling of Canadian agriculture productivity well below 2020 levels. It is estimated that 30% absolute emissions reduction for farmers with 1,000 acres of canola, 1,000 acres of wheat stands to have their profit reduced by approximately $3,800 to $4,500 annually. In 2020, Western Canadian farmers planted approximately 20.8 million acres of canola. Using these values cumulatively, farm revenues from canola could be reduced by $396 million to $441 million on an annual basis. Wheat farmers could experience a reduction in $400 million in revenue. This is not tiny bits of money. This is not tiny little bits. But yeah, this is the ideas of the Guilbeault. Guilbeault. Who is Guilbeault? He was a climate activist. Activist nobody who was arrested several times working with Greenpeace, an organization that is well known for putting spikes in trees with the sole intention of maiming fallers as they plunge chainsaws into those trees. Keep that in mind. Guilbeault is part of an exercise. Yeah, Guilbeault. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. That's apparently, I don't know, it's a French thing. Yes. It looks like Guilbeault, but it's pronounced Guilbeault. 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 Yeah, he's like, it's like Tybo, but worse. And like a crappy knockoff. But yeah, Billy Blanks, Tybo. Smash that like button, everybody. Thanks, Joe Lyman. Appreciate that. But yeah, Guilbeault, climate activist and known member of the eco-terrorist group Greenpeace, the same very group that advocates for spiking trees and maiming and hurting and harming loggers. Yeah, that's Dweebo. Dweebo. Yeah, that's right. That's right. But hey, more on that green movement. What do we got here? We got Elizabeth May threatening to run for leadership race, says party has been in disarray. Yeah, of course your party's been in disarray. It's the Green Party. Do people take these people seriously? Elizabeth may launch her bid to reclaim the leadership of the federal Green Party on Wednesday, saying she wanted to rebuild the party and turn it into an influential political force, including on fighting climate change. Why? Why any different? May, who quit as leader of the Greens in 2019, is running on a joint ticket with Jonathan Pedinault, I don't know how to pronounce that, an expert on crisis situations who has investigated abuse in war zones, including Afghanistan. Well, okay. Launching their campaign on Wednesday in Sydney, BC. Each pledged to appoint the other as deputy leader as they are announced as the winner, and both promised to get co-leadership enshrined in the party's constitution. May, one of the two Green MPs sitting in the House of Commons, said the party has been in disarray and I bear some responsibility for this. So why are you running for office or running for leadership? This is so funny because the Greens are, in fact, probably the most redundant party in Canada. We already have the Liberals who are doing this green climate stuff. So we don't really need them for that. And also, we already have a Communist Party, which is actually their platform. And the best way to look at the Green Party is probably through the eyes of this fantastic book here. This is a book written by British author James Delingpole, and it's entitled Watermelons: The Green Movement's True Colors. And well, if you can see here, it's a really good illustration on the cover of this book. It's watermelon, it's cracked open, and it's just commie red inside. Green on the outside, red on the inside. We got the hammer and sickle and the vines. But great book. You had an updated version a year later called How the Environmentalists Are Killing the Planet, Destroying the Economy, and Stealing Your Children's Future, on paperback. I haven't actually read the entirety of this book, but I've watched so many interviews of this guy, and he's fantastic. I'm going to order this book because I want to read through it. British author James Delingpole tells a shocking story of how an unholy mix of junk science, green hype, corporate greed, and political opportunism led to the biggest and most expensive outbreak of mass hysteria in history. In Watermelons, Delingpole, who's ahead of his time, by the way, with January 1st, 2011, when he wrote this book and published it originally, so well ahead of his time, explains the ClimateGate scandal and the cast of characters involved, their motive and methods. He delves into the background of the organizations, the individuals who sought to push global warming to the top of the political agenda, showing that underneath their cloak, green, lurks a heart of red. Could we start a book reading club? I would love that. I would love that. I need more time to read books, though. I'm so busy with this. Currently, I'm still reading Fake Invisible Catastrophes and Threats of Doom. That's this book. I recommended this the other week. This is by Patrick Moore, much respected. He actually helped found Greenpeace and left when they became eco-terrorists because he wanted to help the environment, not be a misanthrope. For those that don't know that word, it just means you hate humans, hate people. But that's exactly the thing. So Watermelon shows how scientific method has been sacrificed on the altar of climate alarmism. Delingpole mocks the green movement's pathetic record of apocalyptic predictions, from the population boom to global cooling, which failed to materialize. He reveals the fundamental misanthropy of the green ideology, rooted in hatred of the human species, hell-bent on destroying almost everything man has ever achieved. Delingpole gives a refreshing voice to widespread public skepticism over global warming, emphasizing the crisis, in quotes, has been engineered by people seeking to control our lives by imposing new taxes and regulations. Your taxes will be raised, your liberties will be curtailed, And your money we squandered to deal with this crisis, he writes. At its very roots, argues Delingpole, climate change is an ideological battle, not a scientific one. Green on the outside, red on the inside, the liberty-loathing, humanity-hating watermelons of the modern environmental movement do not want to save the world, they want to rule it. Delingpole is the best-selling British writer who helped expose the ClimateGate scandal in his Daily Telegraph blog. He also writes a column for The Spectator. His other books include 365 Ways to Drive a Liberal Crazy and Welcome to Obama Land. Amazing. So yeah, definitely recommend this, or even just watching interviews with this particular author, James Delingpole. Really good stuff. But that's the case. And they are getting power by leaps and bounds. It has been working. So there has been a lot of progress on their side, and we need to show people how ludicrous it is and how detrimental it's actually going to be to the environment. If you actually if you actually care about the environment, you would care about deficit spending. You would care about poverty. These are the things. Can you read Green Bugs and Spam for a bedtime story? Oh, goodness. Yeah, that'd be great. But watermelon sounds racist. Yeah, of course. That'll always be the thing. That'll always be the the go-to. But yeah, if you care about the environment, you want to make sure people are wealthy. People only actually take action to better the environment when they're wealthy enough to do so. When people are impoverished, they don't care about the environment. You see those trees over there? I got a house to heat. Cut them down. That's the way it works. These luxury beliefs that these people have in academia and all of this is just absurd. And it's trickling down to the greater society here. And everybody is going to be left impoverished, left hungry. This is exactly what's going to happen with this. So if you actually care about cleaning up the environment, you actually care about having nice nature around you, you need to give up this idea of climate alarmism. This is why they don't talk about environmentalism in that sense. They talk about climate catastrophe, climate emergency. Of course, there has been no emergency, and that's what's playing out in real time. Now, it doesn't take too long. It's just like Y2K or too many predictions of the Messiah coming back over the years that didn't happen, and people are looking for backpedaling. They're looking for these threats of doom, these death cults that I like to call them, because that's all they are. They're just death cults. They're making predictions about doom and gloom, and the only way we're gonna stave off doom and gloom is to give away your liberties. And well, that's not a price I'm willing to pay ever. And where does it end? Well, they're pushing in Alberta right now. This was the Upper Smoky Sub-Regional Plan, and I got this from an industry expert in the field, and he was talking about how this plan and V4F broke this story, by the way. This was Veterans for Freedom, and what they're doing is they're trying to expand an area in Alberta. So there's this area here in Alberta, which just so happens to be where a lot of oil and gas, forestry, industry, mining all takes place. But they want to take this sanctuary for caribou, for which they're still not clear on how many there is in the region, but they want to expand it out to this greater area. And there's a better map here that shows what this area, this looks like. And this is just south of Grand Prairie, Alberta, where this area is. And the green stuff in here is where the current Caribou Reserve is. And they want to expand it out to this entire area. Now, if you look at the map, you'll see these orange lines. And those orange lines are actually service roads for industry. There's a lot of industry happening there. Now, these industry players can get permits to go into these areas, but they're very expensive. It's very expensive to comply with the regulation when they have these great things. And they taste great. Yeah, caribou, they taste great. I've never eaten caribou. I've had elk and moose and deer, all that stuff. I've never had caribou. But they're trying to expand this for what reason? Because we're going to save a couple of caribou out in this region. Now, caribou don't just live in this region. They live in other regions. But it's this one that's specifically being targeted. Well, the map says everything. The map says it all. They're targeting the industry in Alberta. I don't know why, because Ontario can't run without Alberta's industry, British Columbia's industry, the farming industry throughout the prairies. What are they going to do? Where are they going to get their money from? I don't know. But they are attacking it because there is political pressure when there is industry in a place. The chat is just full of caribou is delicious. I want to try it now. Maybe I can't go there. That's one place I can't go to get me a caribou. I love elk and buffalo. I've had buffalo. I don't know. I haven't had wild buffalo. I've had farmed buffalo. Can you hunt wild buffalo? I don't know. I've heard of people doing that, so it's got to be a thing. But yeah, that's the thing. So what I'm hearing from the industry too, and here's the thing that the government does not want people to know about, is the thousands and thousands of wolves that they poisoned to death in order to stop from eating the caribou. Another thing that they tried to do is, I believe, kill a bunch of moose, thinking that it would reduce the populations of these wolves. Anyway, when they tried to kill all these wolves off, what happened? Well, the bait that they were using for the poison, or the poison that they were using and putting in food, a bunch of other animals were eating, and they were killing off tons and tons of other places or other animals in the same region. So this is what happens when the government tries to conserve anything. They destroy it. They absolutely destroy it. Yeah, not on the best track record. Big Dice, Clyde, look what they do to Yukon farmers. I believe you covered that. Yeah, the Yukon. I covered the Northwest Territories. So in the Northwest Territories, they're shutting down farmers' ability to sell food directly to people. That is a thing. They've made legislation that makes it so you have to have a license, a special government granted license that we're not sure how difficult it is to get. I'm hearing that it's not easy. To sell food directly to people, you have to have this special license. Now, for all intents and purposes, if it's licensed, then just selling food to people is illegal. And this is the problem happening there. I'd love to get Jackie on the line from the Northwest Territories to have a chat with me and explain this in further detail. And I'm sure things have been progressing as such since that news broke. So thank you for the reminder, and I'm going to get on that. So I can bring more news on the development of that. From what I see that as testing ground for the rest of Canada. If these people are going to be okay with that, well, then we should try it in other provinces and see how that goes. Not being allowed to sell to farmer direct to the people, because there are whole areas that are based around that as a revenue source. Not putting it on the main market or going through distribution centers, but just selling directly to people the fruits of your labor. It's nothing gets better than that. You'll never get better food than that. I assure you on that front. But all this climate alarmism, Well, we have the World Climate Declaration. There is no climate emergency. And this is a declaration of scientists and professionals that have made the declaration that there is no emergency to speak of in this situation. And here we have, there is no emergency. Climate science should be less political, while climate policies should be more scientific. Scientists should be openly addressed, should openly address uncertainties and exaggerations in their predictions of global warming, while politicians should dispassionately count the real costs as well as the imagined benefits of their climate policy measures. And this is where it gets into the real science. So nobody's denying that if you put a bunch of CO2 into the atmosphere, there's going to be some sort of effect because of that. And actually, leading scientists in the field who understand this the best, i.e., people like Patrick Moore, who writes about it in his book, says that yes, there can be temperature increases based on this, but it's the degree to what, how much could it go? Now, one thing that is noted is that to get 1 degree of temperature, you would have to get up to X amount. One extra degree of temperature, you'd have to put so much more CO2 into the atmosphere. But then to get the next degree of temperature, unlike what the alarmists are saying, you would actually have to double the amount of CO2. So say you had 400 parts per million. I think we're at 480 parts per million. If to get to 1 more degree warmer than we are, you would have to double that. Now, we started at 300 some odd a century ago, before the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. It took us the entire Industrial Revolution to go from 350 some odd to 480. How long do you think it would take us to double that? A long time. So to get 1 more degree, which is not what the alarmists are saying, they're saying that any little bit more and we're in catastrophic territory, and it is not actually the case. Natural as well as anthropomorphic or anthropogenic. Anthropomorphic means when you apply humanity to a thing, or human characteristics to a thing. Anthropogenic is when humans are causing a thing. Natural as well as anthropogenic factors cause warming. The Geological Archive reveals that Earth's climate has varied as long as the planet has existed, with natural cold and warm phases. The Little Ice Age ended as recently as 1850. Therefore, there is no surprise that we are experiencing a period of warming. Warming is far slower than predicted. The world has warmed significantly less than predicted by IPCC on the basis of modeling anthropogenic forcing, or modeled anthropogenic forcing. The gap between the real world and the modeled world tells us that we are far from understanding climate change. This is what, 1,200 signatories on this. All their names are listed. You can go through, and they're all professionals from all different countries all over the world. And these are, and here right from Canada, you know, we have Canadian scholars and people, professionals in the industry that know the science. This scientific consensus that they keep bragging to us is not actually the case. So climate policy relies on inadequate models. Climate models have many shortcomings, and they're not remotely plausible as policy tools. They do not only exaggerate the effects of greenhouse gases, they also ignore the fact that enriching the atmosphere with CO2 is beneficial. Think of that. Just think of that for 1 second. Da ta da ta da ta da. What? I don't get what you're saying. Clyde, when you have the time, please watch The Great Global Warming Swindle. I will check that out. Clyde likes big words now. Enough said. I like to explain the big words when they're being used because I don't assume that everybody knows what certain words mean. I always find it troubling when somebody, troubling, I say that in lightly, when somebody insists on only using big words, as if they read through a thesaurus and they found all the big words that are synonyms for words that they commonly use, and then they only use those big words. I think it's like unconfident people do that. Like I think you can understand really specific language in understanding how something works, and then being able to speak to everybody in a way that everyone in the room is going to understand everything that you're saying is more intelligible than patting yourself on the back by using words that other people don't know the meaning of clearly. I think it does nothing in the service of actually sorry, I saw Jordan Peterson does that. Peter, thank you so much for becoming a member for 2 months. Awesome. You the man, Clyde. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I think it goes against what, how can I word this? I think that when people do that, they're not doing it for the sake of actually getting other people to understand what it is that they're trying to convey. I believe that I'm saying this correctly. I think pseudo-intellectuals mostly do that. Absolutely. So what I think that people do is they're trying to give themselves a little dopamine hit. It's kind of like telling somebody off on Twitter or whatever. You feel all cool about it and you get a laugh or whatever, but it and I'm guilty for that. But it's there for you. You're doing that for you, and if you're doing it for yourself, and you're doing it for the little dopamine hit that you'll get, and maybe for your little in crowd. But if your goal is to actually educate people, convey an idea, you're doing it terribly, and you're doing yourself and everybody else a disservice by talking like a dummy pseudo-intellectual. You don't sound smart, you sound dumber by doing it. You sound like someone who's grandiose and trying to stroke yourself off, essentially, is where I think it is. It is a form of virtue signaling. I honestly believe that, Peter. Yeah, I definitely believe that. It goes against stupidity? No, I think if you're trying to convey a thing with people, if you're talking with people that are pervy and everybody in your audience is pervy to some technical jargon, it makes sense for you to use that technical jargon, and it would be demeaning to other professionals if you didn't use the proper language for it. But when you're talking to people in a broad venue like this, I don't know what everybody's clear understanding is in any given field. So if a big word comes up, I just find it expedient for everybody to be on the same page by just defining the word. I think it's helpful. I think it's the best course of action in any given situation where there's a broad audience in any sort of topic. I do this with mechanics. I absolutely do this every day with mechanics. I know where people's level of understanding is. I talk with service writers at my work who don't have the same level of understanding as the technicians that I work with. And then I talk to people in the public who have even less of an understanding than the service writers, because the service writers have been around it a bunch, even though that's not their area of expertise. Again, Peter Como, I'm so bad with names, and I knew I was going to butcher it. But thank you for the $5 super chat. Love all the work you put in, dude. Thank you so much. I do put in a lot of work, and I do it because it's a real passion project for me. And that's what I do. It's not quite wobbly pop time, my man. It's not quite there yet. I think I'm turning Japanese. I think I've been turning Japanese for a long time. People were making fun of me on Twitter today for making a recommendation for Japanese pop from the 1980s. I didn't so much as recommend it, but told people I was listening to that in the shop, and I had some people laugh at me. I thought that was funny. It just makes me happy. It reminds me of my days in Japan, even though I wasn't there in the 80s. But the idea being that the music is all just like, it's about summertime and fun, if you listen to the words, and I really like it. I'm going off on all kinds of weird stuff here. I got made fun of for my explanations of the big topics when in school, but guess whose patients like to talk to more? That's right, Noob. Noob, of course, with that big old education on how to do all that chemistry stuff. I want a Clyde do something bumper sticker. Let's make that happen then. I'm gonna have to talk to some people in the Discord. Let's make that happen. That could be easy. Could be easy. We've been talking about t-shirts. I'm not a swag salesman. If people want t-shirts, let me know. If you would buy a merch item, let me know in the chat and tell me that you would do that. Because if enough people actually want that stuff, I'll put time in for it. But I always just assume that it's like kind of slimy. It's not totally slimy, but it's just one of those things. A Clyde hat for sure. Wow. Okay, bro. I would love Clyde do something merch. Okay. Snapback. I wear snapbacks. That's what I always wear. Holy cow. Look at you guys. Look at you guys. All this stuff. You saying, I love it. I love it. Be like Viva. Got to put it on a shirt. I want Clyde branded wobbly pops. Oh my god, you got to get a special permit for that in Canada. Holy cow, that is some controlled substances. I'm a skeptic scientist and pessimist planner. Well, you should be. Every scientist should be skeptic. If you want a new product, I suggest Clyde do something thesaurus. Man. That's funny. Cool studio man. Yeah. I always got to show off the studio every once in a while. Let people know what's going on here. As I'm watching the chat roll by, right here you can see it, and another chat up there just in case. But this is how it goes. This is how it goes here. Common sense is lost with these people. Absolutely. Clyde, thank you for your service. Absolutely, no problem. Clyde, what a setup. Nice studio. Yeah. I love my studio as well. I love it a lot, and I spend a lot of time in here. And when I'm spending time in here, I'm spending time with you guys, and that's how it works. But wow, I got onto some crazy tangents there. So metal, yeah, I love metal. You know, there's so many brands of music, there's so many types of music that I love. I'm pretty easygoing with music. I just get really tired of hearing the same stuff on the radio that people play. And if it's top 40, like, I just can't do that. I don't feel any like. I don't feel like those people make music for the love of music. They make the music for the love of coins. Clyde got the tuna legs. Yeah, my legs are pasty. I tried getting sun on them. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. T-shirt with Clyde eating the bugs. Okay, this is boring. Okay, yeah, it's boring. It can be. I'm Clyde, do something. Pop music blows. Yeah, top 40 pop music. I think that, like, in Japan, there was good pop music in the 80s. But that's only if that's what you believe. Some people don't like it. I like it because there's nostalgia to it. Survival gear. Clyde, do something survival gear. Ugh, get into like Bear Grylls territory with that stuff. But yeah, anyway. So back to the Wobbly Pops hat. I think that's a great idea. I want to do something with Environ-Mental and and wobbly pops, I think, are going to be some of the things that we're gonna have to go with. I like the wobbly pops idea. That's great. Yes, survival. Wow, everybody wants merch. Unbelievable. I had no idea that was really a thing. Ratchet. Hippie crits. Yeah, that's another one. Oh, I always forget all the things that I've coined, but you guys are really good at reminding me. Environ-Mental wobbly pops. Too good. Too good. Good man, Clyde. We're all fighting. Yes, we are all fighting, and we're all in this fight together, guys. I want to see a prototype snapback I embroidered for... Oh, want to see a prototype snapback I embroidered for Lotus Eaters? Absolutely. Put it in the Discord. Post it up in there. I'd love to see that. Wobbly Pops should have those propeller units on top. Like a beanie. It's so funny because people say beanie to a Canadian because we say toque, right? But when somebody says the word beanie, that's the first thing that pops into my head is a little short hat with a little propeller on top. That's what I think of when I hear the word beanie. But that's the thing. Back to the... Oh, really cool. Really cool. The Lotus Eaters. Do you mind if I show that to the stream? I want to show this off. I think this is really cool. I haven't got your consent yet, but I'm going to show it. You embroidered this. Podcast of the Lotus Eaters. Oh, that is so awesome. I really like that. I really like that. That's cool. I'm a fan. I've been a viewer of Sargon of Akkad for years. But yeah, amazing. I really like that. I like that a lot. Super cool. Okay, getting back to this, because if you get on these rants and then you forget about what you were talking about. So we were talking about the environmental movement, and they are mental. Yeah, we need to make a shirt that says environmental, not environmental, right? Something along those lines. I'm gonna brainstorm that one. Climate change lockdowns, bro. This is where it's going. And guess what? Guess who was talking about it? None other than Glenn Beck the other day, talking about what's happening here in Canada. And here's what he had to say.
So architectural plans have been leaked from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, Canada. They are building now, under the Trudeau administration, a new facility in Winnipeg. Now, understand Winnipeg is heartland, Canada. It's red state central, okay? They're building this facility that will be the home to a firearms armory, interrogation rooms, this according to the architectural plans, biological labs, media relations offices, I don't even know what this is, controlled quiet rooms, and intelligence facilities. The plans were drawn up by a firm in Winnipeg, and they kind of open a window into what climate enforcement looks like in Canada. Down the hall from the proposed firearms storage rooms are several evidence rooms, interrogation suites with adjacent recording rooms. According to a recently posted Indeed.com ad up in Canada, the ministry is searching to recruit a battalion of climate pollution officers with the name of the group, the Environmental Enforcement Directorate. Doesn't that sound a little communist, just that?
That sounds a little communist.
The entire facility is 50,000 square feet. It will house hundreds of ECCC staff. And the Impact Assessment Act is what gave it power. This passed in the final days of Trudeau's majority government, and it gave sweeping power to ministerial enforcement officers. But nobody knew what that was. It was
So a lot of you guys in the chat a little torn on the Glenn Beck thing, and I'm a little torn on Glenn Beck myself. But the fact is that it's being spoken about. Like, people are talking about this elsewhere other than just in Canada about the climate enforcement and what is coming down the pipe for us here in Canada when it comes to climate and what their plans are. Now, they said that COVID-19 was a great chance for us to reset and have a new look at how society will be organized. Well, and that was organized based on threats of violence and threats of imprisonment, fines, and the lot of that if you don't comply with things that would normally just be normal things in your would never be implemented against you in your normal daily life in a free society. Now we're looking at the environment as being the next big thing. And you're even hearing this from Davos themselves saying, okay, COVID's over. Let's move on to the next big thing, the environment. And it's not the environment. They don't actually say the environment, actually. Why am I saying that? Climate is what they're going on about. I'm all about the environment myself. I'm not all about the crazy climate alarmism that's been going on. Climate police, the Canadian Gestapo, absolutely. This is what we're looking at, where they have climate enforcement on the way. Now, this story got broken by the Countersignal, where they were talking about this whole concept of the climate security. Sorry, I thought I had the article up. I don't have it up right now. But this is the auspices, or this is the reason why they're building this. But when you look into the plans for the building, you have, and this is a brand new building, by the way, on the blueprints, they have detention rooms, they have interrogation rooms, quiet rooms, which apparently just is a euphemism for solitary confinement, which is torture by all intents and purposes. And this is for the purposes of enforcing climate legislation. Interesting. Anyway, how's that climate stuff working for the people who did actually implement stuff? How about those guys over in Germany that dismantled their nuclear plants in hopes of using nothing but wind and solar? Well, we have here the German Green-led drive to boycott Russian LNG, which, by the way, if you do wind and solar, it's intermittent, so you have to supplement it by burning natural gas. By the way, that's part of the infrastructure. So the German Green-led drive to boycott Russian LNG has revived 21 coal power plants and led to a renaissance of the industry. We will not meet climate goals in the short term, said German Institute for Economic Research Environmental director. So they're just firing up them coal plants again. Why? Because nuclear was too horrible of an option when it came to cleaning up the environment. So here we go. What do we got? Intellectual shell? What? Sorry, Clyde, love you. I don't know what you were saying there. Intellectum shell? That's a tough one for me to read. I'm dyslexic, by the way. It's hard always in the beginning anyway. Do something Wobbly Pops mug. Ooh, like a Wobbly Pops Wobbly Pop mug. I like that. I like the idea of that. Anyway, come into the Discord. Every time we do Wobbly Pops hour in the Discord, everyone talks about how I should be making more money for this. I think I'm doing okay. But if you guys want me to make more money, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But anyway, this from Max Blumenthal saying, "Hey, wasn't it terrible when we had nuclear power that releases steam?" Here we go. We're lighting up them coal plants now because we shut that down and we were trying to clean up the environment. Unbelievable. I think we're running to the end of the show. There was some other things I wanted to talk about. Okay, I gotta talk about this before we go. I don't know why so much news out of Alberta these days. So much news, at least this week anyway. Alberta is the home of some great people. That's for sure. We've got friends from the channel in Alberta. I made a new friend this week myself. You may know her. She's an interesting person out there, a very special person of interest to the federal government. But got a really nice phone call from someone to say that she was a fan of my work, and that was from none other than the Canada's great Tamara Litch. She reached out to me and told me that she's a fan of the channel, and I was blown away by that fact. That's amazing. So we don't know, but might be able to. It might be something in the works where I could have a chat with Tamara on the channel, depending on what the lawyers say and what she can do publicly, that kind of thing, because of, well, she has some crazy stipulations on her bail. So the bail stipulations that she has for being out on bail, they've really put it out as far as they could, postponing her day in court, because it's not until next September. So for this all to blow over and be nothing for her, we're talking over a year now. So, and that's just for when the trial starts, or her day in court anyway. Tamara Litch for Prime Minister in the chat. Love that. Yeah, if Tamara's watching, hello. Thanks for thanks for the phone call. That's amazing. But all these people love you so much, Tamara. You need to realize this, and you're an inspiration to a lot of people. But those are my words. and anyway, it would be nice to, if we're able to have Tamara come on and have a chat on the channel. I'm sure everybody would like to see that Tamara's doing well and all of that. Clyde for Resource MP. I want to be a mechanic. I like being a mechanic. Thanks. But I'm happy to be a YouTube channel host. Other than that, but yeah, great news. So this is why this week's been really hectic for me. Being able to talk with Tamara really blew my mind. I've been getting together with the guys from several of the guys from Veterans for Freedom. Great organization that those guys have going on there. Very professional. Just can't say enough good things about those guys. Very professional. In it to win it, and we're definitely gonna win it. And that's where things are going. So there may be some news stories coming out next week that those guys are breaking. That I'll definitely be helping them for bringing these stories public. But this is a thing. Rip Celine Dion. Is that true? I didn't know that. How about Diagolon? So I spoke to Jeremy today, and I noticed after I spoke to him, he has a video on his channel that will explain a lot of why he's not able to come on today. And yeah, please go check out his channel. That's a thing. So I spoke with him today about it, and holy cow, really feel for those guys out there. And yeah, thoughts and prayers and all of that going out that way. So if you don't know the details on that, go to Jeremy's channel. He'll fill you in. The video's there. He's gonna be taking a break for a little bit, and he'll come back when he's ready to come back. And that's yeah, we're just gonna go with that on that topic. Let's get into something more entertaining. Let's get into something a little bit more fun to talk about. So like I said, news coming out of Alberta is pretty funny. This I got a kick out of. This is Calgary Herald. Alberta's natural beauty gets top marks amongst Canadians, but the province's people and politics are a drag, suggests a national poll. Okay, who cares? At the end of the day, really, who cares? But are they trying to browbeat people here in this article? The negative views of Albertans don't accurately reflect the majority of the population, whose viewpoints are usually more moderate, says MRU political scientist Lori Williams. No, it's not that. It's that the media's representation of people on a particular side of the political spectrum is outlandish. And that's where people's views are coming from, not individuals from Alberta. Get off it. But yeah, Alberta is a beautiful country when it's not minus 40. I'll vouch for that. It's really nice. Toronto needs a mayor. They control the vote. Alberta and Saskatchewan rejected Trudeau. Absolutely. Make Alberta great again. MAGA. Those MAGA Canadians, right? Alberta's natural beauty gets top marks amongst Canadians, but the province's people and politics are a drag, suggested national poll. Oh, you Albertans, and you're such a drag. The Ledger online surveyed 1,561 people, found Alberta to be the second favorite province or territory among respondents. Of a tiny group of people. Like, that is such a small amount of people. Well, who cares? But it was also runner-up as the least favorite part of Canada after British Columbia and Quebec, respectively. Oh my god, I get the Quebec thing. But British Columbia? Why is British Columbia on the list of... Where did they find these 1,561 people? Did they interview only people from Ottawa? Oh, too funny. 12% of those polled on August 9th to 21 cited Alberta as their favorite province, with just under half of those tagging its landscapes and wildlife as the top reasons, while opportunities and things to do captured 24%. But 47% of those turning thumbs down on the province pointed to its people as the main detraction, followed by those contending Alberta is boring at 19%. Oh, that's funny. Alberta's boring. You guys are just so boring. How did BC get 30%? Oh, goodness. Why would I want to be Toronto mayor, Big Dice? I don't want to be Toronto mayor. I don't even want to move to Toronto. I want to go to Toronto. I live in BC. That's why I'm laughing so hard at this. Lots of normal people still in BC. I'm not normal. You know what's funny? Yeah, that's harsh, right? How do we send Vancouver Island to Toronto? Yeah, there's that. Yeah, but you're counting people on Vancouver Island. What, Nanaimo and Victoria? That's it. The rest of Vancouver Island's not crazy pants. You got crazy pants lower, like just portion of the lower mainland, and then the lower part of Vancouver Island. That's it. The rest of BC is great. BC has great weather, but lots of tent people. Okay, if you've ever been to Nelson, you'll know what BC hippies are, and they're sketchy. They're sketchy people. The BC hippies aren't people, and I'm not talking about hypocrites. Hypocrites are the yuppies who claim that they care about the environment, and then they go camp and pollute everywhere and leave all their garbage behind. I'm talking about hippies. They wear lots of drab collars, hemp necklaces. They tend to have shitty white guy dreads, and they look like they're gonna steal your stuff. That's what it is. Anonymous with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. There was a bumper sticker in the Pierre Elliott Trudeau 70s in the Pierre Elliott Trudeau 70s saying the West will take Alberta, the East can have Trudeau. Nothing new under the sun. Love you, Clyde. Thank you. Thank you so much. Absolutely agree with that. Yeah, man buns. The dirties. A lot of them end up being like tree planters. A lot of them end up doing jobs like that. And it's funny, the loggers call them stinkies. Because you go to logging camp. I've never been to a logging camp, but I got friends that have been to logging camps, and so the fallers all have one table. Like you'll have other parts of the industry, like the guys who are involved in the choking and yarding and all that stuff, and then way on the other end you got the stinkies. And they stink, and that's just the thing. They just call them stinkies, but they're granolas. There's another one for them. But yeah, they're stinkies, and you watch out. They'll steal your stuff. They're communists in that sense. They like to share the means of your production. That's it. Distribute your wealth. But I'm just blown away at this article. This is just way too funny that they even thought BC. Too funny. Just way too funny. But what else do we have here? So people are ragging on British Columbia, they're ragging on BC, but Alberta for their people. And I honestly think this is the fault of the media, because they're just ragging on people. They're ragging on people they've never met. They've probably never seen these people, and this is such a small sample, 1,500 people talking about this. But what are the actual things that are coming out of that province? And I'm not hyping up the province because I want to go live in Alberta. I like living in BC. I'm happy in BC. I'm happy where I'm at. It's good here. It's expensive as all hell here, but it's crazy. But yeah, give Alberta its due where it's due. Alberta's GDP growth is over 5 times higher than Canada's. That's GDP growth. That's not GDP. GDP growth. So yeah, we're as a nation not doing as hot as one of the provinces in our nation. And yeah, a lot of the wealth comes out of that province, comes out of British Columbia, comes out of the prairies as well. Not a whole lot of wealth coming out. There's a lot more just politics and ended up being a drain. What else is happening in Alberta? Alberta is paying back its debt. What a concept. What a concept. They're paying back their own debt. Oh, geez. In a news release, the UCP boasted that due to this year's record-breaking oil-fueled surplus, the government is able to make the largest single-year debt repayment in the province's history and will be paying off $13.4 billion of its over $900 billion owing. This is the game we need to get on. This is the game we need to get on, because I don't care how much you think you care about the environment or all of that stuff. We need to pay off our debts. And I always look at it this way. If you say that you care about the environment, well, what is money? What is money? If you were to define money, how would you define it? I define it as a commodity that's used as a means of exchange. It's as good as things, products, services. These are the things that make an economy go around. Capital is exchanged with the means of exchange. It's got to be a commodity that we all kind of agree on has a value. Now, once money is given a value and we borrow, what are we borrowing against? We're borrowing against time. So what we're saying to the world right now is, I want to consume things that are meant to be consumed in the future. Now, that to me is money equals representative value. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good one, John. So if you're saying that you would want to consume something in the future and you're going to pay it back at a surplus, well, That's the opposite of conservation, is it not? You're talking about using resources, real resources, not money. You're borrowing resources in the here and the now to consume them, and then turning around and preaching to the rest of the world that we need to worry about the environment. We need to worry about what it is that we're doing with the planet, and we're over-consuming. If you think that we're over-consuming, stop borrowing to consume more today than you could afford to with the means of what you have in the moment. I think that there is reasons for borrowing. Absolutely. There are reasons for borrowing. And it absolutely should be for businesses when they're trying to acquire capital, because it just makes more sense, given interest rates, obviously, to borrow to get capital in the moment. And when I mean capital, I mean machinery, things that make goods and services. This is the capital that we need. This is how we bring more things and make them available to make things cheaper for people, so that what? They can have a better quality of life, and then turn around and say, hey, you know what'd be great is if everything was a little bit cleaner around here. How about that? So if you care about the environment, absolutely stop borrowing so damn much, and point this out to politicians. This is what politicians need to know. And absolutely stop digital currency, because that's the only purpose. The only purpose of a digital currency is so that they can spend money that they don't have. Yes, winter is coming, Tempest. Winter is coming. Let's hope everyone's prepared for it. And you know what? We need to warm up in the wintertime, and the AC's been blowing in here, and I'm going to have to warm up. And the best thing to warm me up after a good, long 2-hour stream is to have a couple of wobbly pops with my community in the Discord. So everybody in here, I want to thank you all for joining. Thank you guys all for all the support. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for just hanging out. If you don't have to super chat to come hang out. You please let everyone know that the community's open for everybody to come in. But after every show, we like to hang out in the Discord. It's an open forum. The link is in the description down below. You can join up. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. You can just jump in and lurk and listen to the conversation. There's a lot of good things that get said in these open forums. I really, really enjoy it because it's a great way for me to get feedback from the community. Listen to what you guys have to say on a whole number of issues. I don't always get to all the topics, so it's really cool, and people get to ask me questions directly. It's always a great time. It's the highlight of my week when it comes to YouTube and this community and hanging out with everybody. And yeah, I want to thank everyone for that. Waniska with the $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. Clyde, take care all. To go James Top, absolutely Canadian hero James Top, putting so much on the line, marching across the entire country. Got to Ottawa and said, you know what, I'm not done, I want to march the rest of it. So yeah, James Top, definitely a hero. But yes, thank you guys, enjoy the evening, and if you like, come join us in the Discord. Until then, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. It's a long weekend for those that don't know. So I'm going to be spending time with family, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Keep on